Welcome to Region 6. The Rehabilitation Area Manager is Valencia Butler. Your Administrative Analyst Counselor is Shaquavia Hearn. Administrative Specialist Olivia Pruitt, Robin Oxford, and Joanna Cockman. Deputy Chief of Field Services, as well as the Interim Manager for Region 6, Gay Jones Washington. Welcome to Arkansas Rehabilitation Services Participant Orientation. The goal of this video is for you to understand your required forms. Thank you for being here today, and we are committed to supporting your success, and part of that is making sure you understand the documents we ask you to review and to sign. You will be provided an overview of each form, its purpose, and what's expected of you. The forms that we will cover include the application for services, the voter registration declaration, the professional disclosure form, substance-free policy, release of information, informed consent, due process, and the ARS handbook. We will look at the purpose, key sections, and tips for helping you understand what you're signing. Application for services. I understand that I'm responsible to help Arkansas Rehab Services to determine my eligibility within 60 days of my application. You are an applicant when you have signed this form or completed an intake, and also you want to be able to help Arkansas Rehab Services get the information necessary to determine eligibility for services. The information that's gathered from you will be confidential. Arkansas Rehab Services only pays for services with a written agreement, which is a plan, and then we provide an authorization at that point. We will provide you with a client handbook that has the information about the client assistance program, and your counselor will explain the order of selection, and it's also covered within this video. Arkansas Rehab Services may get information about your Social Security or your Department of Human Services benefits, as well as the Department of Labor for purposes of your vocational rehab program. If you disagree with any decision by ARS, and again, that information will be provided for you as far as the client handbook is concerned, you want to first speak with your counselor to try to work out the issue, and then you can request an informal or administrative review from the manager. And then you have to make that request within 30 days after the decision has been made. Again, you want to make sure that you are talking to your counselor as the first step. You are applying for Arkansas Rehab Services because you want to work or you want to keep your job if you are employed. State of Arkansas Voters Agency-Based Declaration Statement. You have the right to register to vote at any state agency. For this form, you either check yes, you want to apply, or no, you don't want to apply to register to vote. You have to be 18 years old in order to vote, and then at the bottom, you can just write why it is that you decline and sign your name. But at any given time, you can come back and we can assist you with registering to vote. Professional Disclosure Form, Arkansas Rehabilitation Services. The goal of this form is to review information about what a rehab counselor is or a certified rehabilitation counselor professional is. You will be assigned a rehabilitation counselor, and if that person is certified, they will be able to make all of the decisions with the exceptions of certain monetary thresholds. If not, they will be supervised by a certified vocational rehab counselor and will work together to make final decisions on your case. If you are eligible for vocational rehab services, you and your rehab counselor will jointly develop what's called an individual plan of employment. This spells out your vocational goals and the services that will be provided and the things that you need to do to reach that goal. It's important that you exercise your choice by actively participating in the development of your individualized plan of employment. Your rehab counselor will explain each service to you, whether that is evaluation for vocational rehab needs, physical restoration, counseling and guidance, supported employment, educational training, assistive technology services and equipment, job development and placement, employment and retention, and follow-up services. These things you will explore what's necessary for you and your plan for employment when you get to that particular phase in your case. One important part of your relationship is confidentiality. Nothing that you provide will be given to other agencies or individuals without your permission, which is a release of information form. So if that's not signed, we cannot share that information with any other entity. If we think that you are in harm or danger to yourself, that's what may cause us to release information if there is an issue in that area. So we have to make sure that we are keeping you safe. If you are a minor and not your own guardian, then the information in your file may be available to that particular guardian or advocate. Our whole goal as rehab counselors is to help you secure a satisfactory job that is within your interest and within your strengths. It's also important to know that the rehab counselor will try to act at your best interest to protect you from unnecessary risk. By signing this form, your rehab counselor will review the following topics with you: the roles and responsibilities, the approach or the method, legal issues affecting your services, confidentiality, creating and using the IPE, goals, types of services not provided, risk and benefits associated with services, and who to contact. And again, those things are outlined in the client handbook, which we will review in the upcoming moments. Arkansas Rehabilitation Services has a substance-free policy. The purpose is to make sure that we have a healthy environment and to reduce risk created by utilizing or using any drugs, alcohol, or other substances within the workplace or at school. The policy is for all participants seeking or applying for or receiving assistance from Arkansas Rehab. Unlawful manufacturing, distributing, dispensing, possession of, or the use of a controlled substance, illegal use of substances, drugs, alcohol, inhalants, or steroids while on any statewide agency premises or actively participating in an ARS program is prohibited. Any ARS participant violating this policy will be subject to disciplinary action. So no transfer or use of any illegal substances, no use of prescription drugs that are not yours, and you are not to abuse any other substances such as inhalants and or steroids. The use of alcohol is not permitted on state premises or during the delivery of services away from state premises. If you are to participate with Arkansas Rehabilitation, then you may be subjected to a drug or alcohol test if there is a reasonable suspicion, meaning if you are behaving or acting in a manner that is outside of your usual behavior, or that is equal to someone who may smell like alcohol or smell like another type of illegal drug. Here it gives you the breath test confirmation, which is the 0.08%. So you could have disciplinary action and a review of the services here. You are required to inform the agency within 5 days after a conviction related to substance use where the violation occurred on a statewide agency premise or while in a program being funded by Arkansas Rehab Services. You may be required to participate in a substance abuse rehab program depending on what the offense is, and that's going to be something that you and your vocational counselor review depending on what the offense is again. ARS designated staff will be required to assure that any type of screenings are performed by a certified lab. So we don't do them on campus. Typically they will be performed at an outside source. That could be a drug test, alcohol test, And again, that reasonable suspicion. Some disciplinary action that may occur is a referral, again, for the substance abuse counseling, or a referral to a rehab program or a 12-step program. This is the form that you sign agreeing to the information that was stated above. Arkansas Rehabilitation Services informed consent. This form is necessary for parents and guardians to release information between entities, whether that's a school, an agency, or a clinic. The purposes are checked prior to your signature, and the type of information will be checked as well. Without this form, we cannot obtain information from schools or specific clinics for eligibility purposes. Arkansas Rehabilitation Services authorization for release of information. This form allows us to receive information from entities that are for the purposes of either determining eligibility, developing a vocational program, or determining a need for a type of treatment that an individual may need. You'll see the types of information that may be disclosed, and if there is something that isn't listed here, then that counselor will write it on this line prior to services being provided. We will not share this information with any other entity. If you are wanting a copy of these records, you will need to go straight to the source. The only information that we release will be that information that we generate at Arkansas Rehab Services. Multiple forms may be required if there are multiple individuals who have information about your disabling condition. The Notice of Due Process Rights for Arkansas Rehabilitation Services. You have a right to appeal anytime you do not agree with a decision about your case made by your counselor or by anyone else at Arkansas Rehabilitation Services. And so you need to contact your local rehab area manager, and their name will be provided for you either on the form or with a business card. This outlines how due process works. It begins once the client makes a request verbally or in writing. It starts the 60-day clock to complete the 5 steps below. And this describes the sequence or the order. The decision of the counselor. The counselor may make a decision about eligibility or a service to be provided. The counselor will advise the applicant again of the client assistance program. Again, that information is located in your client handbook. The very first step is an administrative review, and that should be conducted within 10 days of the initial request. You'll receive a decision 5 business days following the review. The mediation process is an optional step that the Chief of Field Services will decide if it is a viable option or no. If it goes to the next step, an impartial hearing occurs, and then civil action. Usually most decisions, or we can come to a solution or resolution within the first step with the counselor. If not, the administrative review is a process that I conduct, and it usually resolves the issue. Unless an applicant or client or their representative so requests, we shall not stop services during this process. Again, information about the client assistance program, they're here to advocate for you. And that is an overview of due process at Arkansas Rehab Services. The Arkansas Rehabilitation Client Handbook is designed to outline your rights and responsibilities. If at any time you need assistance or help in reviewing the materials, just let someone at the front desk know. Page 1 is your welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Arkansas Rehabilitation Services. We're going to talk a little bit about your rights to excellent services, Your right to be provided services in a timely manner and not to be discriminated against regardless of your disability, race, ethnicity, religion, age, or gender. We keep all of your information confidential, and we want to make sure to provide you information where you can understand it as clearly as possible. You have a right to help plan your services. You have options on developing your program, on how you want to complete your plan, if you want to include other individuals in completing your plan for services, and again, the right to assistance to help complete any of the forms. Next page. The right to an informed choice. We want to make sure that you have sufficient information needed to make good choices throughout the life of your service provision here. We want to make sure that you know your options for employment goals and the settings that are reasonable and attainable. We want to make sure that you understand that you have a right to review any of the decisions that we make here at Arkansas Rehab Services, or ARS, as you'll see it referenced throughout the handbook. You have the right to review a decision. You have a right to access the Client Assistance Program, which we'll talk a little bit more about here in a little bit. If anytime you do not understand any information from ARS, please ask for assistance. Our primary goal is job placement services. The goal and mission of ARS is to assist Arkansans with disabilities with obtaining employment and living independently within the community. Next page. Who can apply for VR services or vocational rehabilitation services? You can apply in accordance with the Federal Rehab Act if you have a physical or mental disability that interferes with your ability to work and you need vocational rehabilitation services to work. You'll meet with a counselor or other rehab staff to fill out an application for vocational rehabilitation services. And then we will obtain information to document that disability to determine if you qualify for our services. So how do you qualify? If you receive Social Security disability, or if you receive supplemental Social Security, your counselor will let you know as soon as possible if you qualify. You and your counselor will make the best choices for you about the services to determine if you are eligible. Your counselor may schedule you for additional testing to use existing information that you provide us. Informed choice. On the basis of information gathered, you will be given choices in the direction of your program. So we want to make sure that we're within the scope of your interests and abilities and financial resources for those particular choices, as who will provide the necessary services for you to enter in order for you to enter into or retain your employment. The order of selection occurs if we have limited funds. If we have limited funds, what may occur is you may be put on a wait list, or you may be referred for services under the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, or you could request that your case be closed. Eligibility for services is always continuously evaluated, so your eligibility status may or could change. Once you're eligible, then we look to develop what's called your Individualized Plan for Employment, or IPE. You and your counselor will write an individualized plan for employment that lists your responsibilities and the services you may receive. Your representative may also assist in developing that plan. So vocational services will be on that plan based on what's necessary for you to go to work. After you work for a minimum of 90 days, then we will consider your case successfully closed. How long is that planning process? It varies. It depends on what it is that you need to be able to get you to work. Our goal is to be quick, but to be efficient to meet your needs. What are your responsibilities as a participant with Arkansas Rehab Services? It's important for you to keep your appointments, to attend any scheduled activities, to attain ratings that are acceptable in any training programs or other activities, carrying out any medical or other professional instruction, reporting to the rehab counselor any changes in financial circumstances or the availability of assistance from other areas. Not doing any of these things could affect your plan for services and our ability to work together as a team. Next page. Use of other benefits. We want to make sure that we're utilizing any other funding source, including insurance, Social Security, Medicaid, Pell Grant, and other comparable benefits. So we look at all other resources before Arkansas Rehab Services provides any financial assistance. We have to have a written approval in order for us to proceed with paid for services. So you make sure that you and your counselor have agreed for those services to be provided. We have to have written approval first. Substance abuse. We have to make sure that you can succeed in your workplace. So we may or may not drug test you depending on if there's suspicious behavior or not. And that goes back to the substance-free form that we reviewed earlier. The Client Assistance Program is here to help. Because we received federal funding, we got to make sure that we are in compliance. And so what the Client Assistance Program is responsible for is making sure that you understand your rights and the purpose up under the Rehab Act. What can they do for you? They can advise you of your rights. They can help solve communication problems. They can teach you how to make requests and mediate disputes, presenting your request to an agency, and assist you with obtaining legal representation when appropriate. The Client Assistance Program information is listed within the handbook. Right here, we talk about protecting your rights to privacy. We want to make sure that everything that we use is solely for the use of Arkansas Rehab. It is not for outside entities, and it is only used for means of eligibility and program planning purposes. Sometimes we may have to obtain information from other agencies, and so we have to get written consent from you or your legal guardian if you have one. Social Security benefits. This page provides information on who to contact if you have questions about your benefits and how it may or may not affect your payments for services. We cannot pay for services that have occurred without written permission. So make sure you are checking with your counselor and that it is on your plan for services before you decide to enter into a training program or an agreement with an outside agency for services, because we will not be able to pay for those. You also have the opportunity to register to vote. That is completely your choice. We have the forms here available for you, and if you are interested in that, your counselor will help you through that. If you want to apply to vote and there is a local election going on, you must apply to register to vote at least 30 days before the election. And again, we will assist you with turning in that form if you so choose. So these are our field offices throughout the state. Right now you are being serviced in the Hot Springs field office. And so here's the contact number here. And remember, we are here to serve.